Hello, social studies buddies. Today you have a rather extensive, large set of notes to go through. So I wanted to take a minute to kind of go over each slide and explain some of the content and some of the material to you. This Monday, we're going to kind of piece everything together. So if you look here on today, we will start to put all these pieces together Monday: geography, vocabulary, founding of Rome, daily life, and today, government. You're all responsible for. But I have not really taken time to go over any of this in detail, so I want to take a minute to do it. So the founding of Rome is super important, and its geography really helped it. So if I were to ever ask you the question, how did the geography of Rome impact its development? Let's look at this. The rivers, bodies of water, and mountains all play a role in its development. So the city was located on the seven hills. That made it easier to defend. You learned that in the reading comprehension activity we did in Canvas earlier this week. Second, the city was built 15 miles inland along the Tiber River. So it meant that they could use aqueducts to bring water in and out of the city. They could also protect it easier. It was on a peninsula, so they were surrounded by water, which made it good for trade and good for their navy. They were also protected by two mountain chains, the Alpenians and the Alps. They also had excellent climate, so they were able to grow food year round. Um, so what we're going to talk about today is the Roman Empire. And if you look at it compared to the United States, it was almost bigger than the US. So the Roman Empire was huge. It was a giant, giant empire. So what we want to look at is the Roman Republic. Oh, I didn't see this brain pop here. I give you the brain pop information down here. So let me just move this slide up here for us so we can get it for our first brain pop. All right, so your brain pop information, the login is JMS and the password is Jaguars. So the Roman Republic lasted about 500 years. And when we think about the word republic, we need to think of the word representative, or we need to think of not quite democracy, but representative republic, people working together. And essentially, the Roman Republic had three main branches of government. The Senate, those were noble and wealthy people. The consul was judges and military commanders. And then there was the assembly and the common people. And if you look, it kind of goes from greatest to least. They had the most power, medium amount of power, and least amount of power. The Roman Republic, the United States took a lot of ideas from the Roman Republic. This idea that we have checks and balances so that no one branch of power is too powerful. We have legislative, executive, and judicial. And we can talk about those as a class anytime you want. I also have this flow chart here where we kind of look at the American system of checks and balances, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of these questions you might have. This should be a review. Y'all should have seen this in 4th and 5th grade. But eventually, a civil war breaks out in Rome. A civil war is a war between groups in the same country. A civil war broke out in the United States and it lasted for 5 years. The Union defeated the South. In Rome, a civil war broke out between the people. The working class felt they did not have as many rights as the wealthy. During this time of the Civil War, Julius Caesar became the most powerful figure in the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic began to expand, and he began to conquer areas around the Mediterranean. Julius Caesar and his armies were capturing more and more land for Rome. So look, this is kind of like a piece of art that was like left by. This is Julius Caesar, and a lot of people say that this is his son Augustus or his like nephew Augustus. However, some people can interpret this as this is being the Roman Republic. No, this is being the empire, and this being the republic. The empire means that Caesar took all the power for himself. Instead of there being a distribution of powers, I'm in charge. But look, this is how Caesar felt with the assembly tugging on his toga strings. I want to go conquer this land. No, you can't, Caesar. Oh, I want to build an Acropolis for Athena. No, Caesar, we got to vote on that. So it's like, did Caesar like being controlled by the Republic? I don't think so. And what's going to happen is Caesar decides to take power. But it didn't just happen overnight. So many of the Caesars and the nobles did not approve of Julius Caesar. They ordered him to come back with his army to Rome. Caesar came back to Rome, but he brought one thing with him, his army. So what happened was Caesar won the Civil War, declared himself dictator, and this marks the moment that Rome was no longer a republic. It becomes an empire. He was allied with Cleopatra from Egypt. She provided him money and supplies while he provided the army. Um, excuse me. Although Caesar was now dictator, he was well liked by the people. He did some good things for the people. He gave land to the soldiers, he gave food to the poor, he granted citizenship to those who were not citizens. So again, he was trying to build Rome into an empire. But all things come to an end. Even though most people in Rome liked Caesar, the nobles and senators did not like him because they lost all of their power. In 44 BCE, Caesar was stabbed to death on the Senate floor. Many of y'all have heard of this, and many of you know it. The Latin is et tu, Brute. Caesar was killed on the Senate floor by his own senators. After the Roman Empire, after Caesar's death, there was a lot of fighting for Rome. Again, the senators didn't really think about the next step. Octavian was crowned emperor after all the fighting. Octavian is also known as Augustus. Caesar was his great uncle. And what happened was Augustus changed the government so that wealthy and normal citizens were equally represented. However, Augustus still maintained the power of an emperor. Under Augustus, Rome began the Pax Romana. For the next 200 years, Rome entered a stage of peaceful and cultural achievement. For the first time in many years, the Romans were not fighting any wars. Arts and architecture flourished. But what y'all need to understand and what y'all need to see is this is the big steps. This is the giant leaps. There's so many little things in between that we need to discuss and talk about. Today's information is like taking a giant bite of history. There's a lot of notes, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of brain pops to watch. So today I kind of want to let this soak in, and I want to give you the time you need to get these notes and everything grease settled. So on Monday, when we pick all this up, we're going to put all the puzzle pieces together so it makes sense. Good luck. Let Mr. O'Neill know if you have questions in the Zoom, in the chat, or by email today. Later, taters.